insulation update. Nearly finished basically. These were the fiddliest bit, trying to get little pieces in there and slide them along. I'm also gonna, this bit I just decided to give up on entirely because it was too fiddly. I don't want to really use too much of this stuff because the insulation value is rubbish compared to the hardboard. But I've probably got a bit more thickness in there than I would have done with the hardboard anyway, so maybe it'll balance out. I'm also going to use more of this stuff, finish off any sort of little gaps where I can get a little bit of extra in, and obviously fill up all these beams and stuff as well. But yeah, it's looking pretty cool with the silver walls. I need to do the door as well, but that'll be done separately because I need to figure out how to do that. And I need to apply the vapor barrier to this bottom section because I don't feel like taping up everything. And if I have enough, like I've said before, I might do these bits with the vapor barrier stuff. I might be able to get away with taping these gaps, but I'm not sure that I will. And then once that's done, ceiling insulation, which should be a bit easier because it's just big pieces. And yeah, start getting the cladding up. Pretty exciting stuff. I'm happy to make some progress. So the insulation is almost complete. The what do you call it? Moisture barrier is pretty much complete at the bottom. I also filled in the spaces in the bottom with some soft insulation as well, just to get a little bit more in there. The bottom beams are filled up, and yeah, it turned out pretty well. This bubble wrap vapor barrier stuff's pretty good, and yeah, just need to continue up. I can actually start. I've cleaned this out, I've brushed this out, I can actually screw the floor down now. It'll be interesting to see how this floor does over time because I've used the minimum amount of timber in the floor as possible. I'm hoping that this stuff is rated to support stuff a little bit, but I guess I'll just have to see how it does with time. I'm using really thin plywood to save weight. It's like 9mm and really narrow. They were intended to be 25, but they're actually 20 wide. So there's only a 20mm there, 20mm there, 20mm there, and another one there. So we'll see how that does over time. Got the wheel arches all sealed over, which is cool. Just noticed I've missed a bit, so I need to tape that. Yeah, progress is made. I'm excited to get the roof done. Alright, big steps been made in the van now. We've got the cladding up, which is super cool. It's starting to look really nice. Same on this wall as well. I'm going to leave it here because I need to figure out some sort of way to connect the vapor barrier, probably more of this stuff, and put it like that. Need to insulate the ceiling now. Obviously, as you probably noticed, I'm trying to super insulate this van. This is 50mm board, and there's what's this one? 40mm plus soft insulation at the bottom in the difficult to reach bits. Obviously, all this stuff is stuffed as best as possible. A better insulation value would have been spray foam, but there's lots of downsides with that. You'll never get it out once you've got it in, and if you have problems with water getting in or rust, you're never going to solve that, especially in the sills at the bottom. That would be a nightmare. When you see videos of people spray foaming the drainage sills, it's like, oh god, that's not going to last very long. For the roof, I have got 50mm of clearance because I've got loads of this 50mm insulation, but it is pretty tight. So for this one, I've cut out a slot. It's pretty ugly, and it takes it down to like 40mm. It's not an ideal solution. I'm just sort of testing it on this back one because here is the lowest point of my roof. These bits dip down another 1.5cm from these bits. So I'll have to see how it goes because I want to mount the cladding onto this, flat with this, and I think it's going to protrude down a little bit. And I'm pretty tall, so I'm already going to be on the absolute limit of this. So every millimetre of headroom that I can gain is a bonus. But once I've got the ceiling, once I got the insulation up, the cladding should go up pretty quick. This went up pretty quick. I didn't take much video of it. I don't know if people were interested, but I assume not, because all you got to do is draw a line behind where you've got a safe place to drill and screw. I use stainless steel screws all around because it's a bit overkill, but I like using stainless steel because you can just screw it in and forget about it. It's not going to corrode or rust or whatever. So you make a line, cut your boards. This is a full length, so this is 3 meters. This is 104. No, is it 145, I think, something like that. And yeah, it's tongue and groove. You just put it together, pre-drill a hole, use a countersink bit to make a little sink hole for the screw, and then put the screw in. It's all pretty easy. And for those that have been with my YouTube channel a while, since I was building the shipping container tiny house, it's almost the same stuff. It's thinner. This is 8mm. It's the only place I could find it is a hardware shop, Wicks. I would normally obviously go to a timber merchant or whatever, but they seem to be the only place in the country I can find that has this stuff. Because it'll save a lot of weight versus the 14mm, which is pretty standard, I think 14. So yeah, it's good stuff, and because I've had so much practice to putting it up in the container, it flew up really fast. So I was like finished by the time I thought about getting the camera out, which is super cool. And yeah, so also I'm looking at getting some fake wood vinyl floor, because I want to make sort of a bathtub floor. I want to bring it up the edges slightly, so if you do have some sort of catastrophic leak or even a slight leak, or you spill something, the floor is going to contain that, so it's not going to get through. Because like I've said before, I'm sort of doing a bit of an experiment with this floor. It's very minimal. There's a minimal amount of support under this plywood, and the plywood itself is very thin. It's only 9mm, I think. So it's I don't really want to be leaking water into it. I want to give it the best chance it can possibly get. So yeah, there's some upcoming plans. So it's time to stick the first piece of insulation board up at the back. I'm going to be using these things. These are called stick pins, I believe. And how they work is it's adhesive on the top. You stick it on the surface. You have to make sure you get one with the right length for whatever insulation board you're using. And then there's these tiny connectors that you use. So you put your board in, you stick it up on them. I've got 4 in this case. There's 1 in each corner. Stick it up on them, and then you add one of these little things, and that's what creates the sort of sandwich with the insulation and holds it up. And they have like a one-way little valve sort of system thing on them, and that's what holds the board up to the roof, and that's what means you can leave it there, and then I'll be able to put the cladding over the top. Obviously there's going to be a little bit of this sticking out, so I'll have to grind that off or something. I guess we'll see when we get to that. So the first board is up, got the pins stuck on, it's holding it up nice. Managed to get the hole cut out from a little porthole things. I almost got it perfectly in the centre, which was a bit of a surprise for me. And obviously the other one here, and the other corners. And I'll quickly show you what I'm having to do on these next bits. Because there's low points in the roof, like this one, this is like the lowest point of this section of roof between this roof beam and this one. I'm cutting channels out in the insulation. I'll show you how I'm doing that. So I'm cutting all of this insulation with a circular saw. You can do it, you can score it with a knife and snap it, but I find that you don't always get a very good result doing that. Especially with these thicker boards, these 50mm. With 20mm, yeah, maybe it'll probably be fine. But yeah, circular saw is the way to go for these bigger boards. So I set the depth to the right amount on the blade, 2.5cm in this case, and then I've just cut some channels like this, and then I'm just going to, it's kind of like if you're doing woodwork, you'd chisel this out, but in this case I'll just use a knife and peel this out. It's really messy and foam goes everywhere, but it gets you a nice little cut out. The board's a bit weak in this spot, so you have to be careful with it, but as long as you're careful it's okay. And then that'll leave me a nice channel for that low part of the ceiling. So the complete central insulation of the ceiling is done. I decided to do it this way because it's just going to be too fiddly doing one board for the whole thing, and this is where it starts to angle down. I've got these bits that change. So I've got all these up with the stick pins. I think I'm going to go around with a grinder now and cut these, the little extra bit of point off. I don't know whether that's a great idea. The thing is, once the boards are up, they'll hold them up anyway, but I just want to get rid of these points so I can get a board over the top of it. It will still be a bit of a bump, but I think it shouldn't be noticeable, but I guess we'll soon see. So yeah, I'm going to quickly take the grinder, grind off all these points, and I've already done at the back up here, you can see. I've made just like a little, this bit is permanent, but this bit's probably temporary. I'll get like a nice rounded piece or something that the boards can slot up above there, because this is these are 3 meter boards, and it goes from the back, it reaches all the way with one board to here, which means I can, with a little bit extra, which I've added with that piece of wood, I can get a 3 meter board all the way to here, and this can be my overlap point, like on the other wall. If you see the other wall, this can be where the 2 different boards join. So that's the idea, and then over at the end they're just going to go up onto this top one. but you can see on this one I didn't cut out a channel, so it's dropped actually quite a bit lower. It's maybe a 2 centimeter drop, 3 centimeter drop there, but I'd rather have a more intact board because it's obviously the thicker it is the better the insulation. So yeah, next thing is to grind those things off and start putting up the cladding, the panelling. Jump cut, the panelling's up. It took a little bit longer than the walls because it's a little bit fiddly working above your head, as you'd expect. I ground off the stick pins like I said, and that's totally fine. You can't really tell where they were. You can see this one up in the corner. Maybe it's out of focus. But yeah, it seems to be okay. And this bit at the back is holding it up. You can see my little porthole window things. I'll probably put some frosted material over those because they're not the prettiest things to look through, but it lets a nice bit of light through when all the doors are closed and everything. So next up I need to seal around here. So I've stuck these, I use soft insulation and the strips of the Reflectix vapor barrier, and obviously the foil tape to seal all the ribs where the joins are. And that worked out pretty good. Now I need to bring this around here. I'm gonna tape this probably, put one more board on, and then finish the vapor barrier around like that. And that actually leaves me a little bit of space for cables in this gap down there. Don't know if you can see or not. This will be like a cable run inside here behind the boards, because I mean I will have some cables behind the, I can use this thing to get a cable across to the other side. But I'd rather have the cables accessible because I'm pretty sure stuff will change and stuff will go wrong and whatever else. It should look okay. It's not going to be like a nice square finish, but I'm going to try and round it as best I can. I don't know how good it'll end up looking, but having accessible cables will be super nice. And I've got these slightly thinner boards. These are 30mm. They're just taped together for now. It'll get held up by the boards. So yeah, that came out pretty well. And yeah, I guess I'll just jump forward when I've got a bit more to show you. Let me step back so you can see. And I'll update you when I've hopefully done these corners finally.